It's time to raise the roof for our latest regular season podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to this latest episode of Raise the Roof. I'm your host, Alex Murphy. With me, as always, my co host, Evan Gibson. Gibby, how are we doing?
That it's terrible, terrible.
Honestly, that stutter kind of.
Eh, I couldn't. I wanted to cut you off before you even like.
Why'd
I
you
was
want
like,
me?
we got to stop like the beginning, like because it's just like we have to get like a record scratch in here, get the editor going.
Why? Why?
Uh,
Why? Just about how bad the Rays are?
it's just terrible. We got swept. I mean, it's a really good team, obviously, but oh my God, a four-game series. We were complaining about the series before, how it's Friday and Monday, kind of weird, but it's whatever. Uh, and yeah, it just went terrible for the Rays. Great pitching by the Orioles. Yeah, just we're not having a good time. So yeah, I
Complete,
couldn't I couldn't believe it.
completely agree with that the Rays are not having a good time. Our other co-host Evan Lynch will be coming on in just a bit, so stay tuned for that. We also have a special guest who's a friend of mine who's going to be commenting on an upcoming series that the Rays are going to be playing. They're going to be hosting Team at the Trop. That I don't know when the last time that they've hosted them at the Trop will be was. So yeah, I'll introduce him in just a second. But we have pretty jam-packed episode. We'll talk about what the Rays did in Miami and what they didn't do against the Orioles, which was a lot. If you couldn't tell by the everything that happened over the last 4 days, hasn't really been great for the Rays. So we'll talk about that. The College World Series is now officially set. We have 4 teams from the ACC, 4 teams from the SEC. If you guys care about college baseball, which I know that you guys do because, we talk about it all the time. We're also going to be talking about the greatest dynasty in the history of D2 baseball, the University of Tampa Spartans, who won tied a record for their 9th national championship a couple days ago. So shout out to Joe Urso, shout out to the boys over at UT, the right UT, I'll say
Yeah,
that, for bringing
that's
home
right.
some hardware and making Tampa Bay keeping the Tampa Bay name alive, among other stuff. Plenty of things going on. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review. Share this with your friends, your family, anyone who's a baseball fan or a Rays fan who wants to add a podcast into their podcast feed. Make sure to let them know about us. Also, shout out our sponsors, SeatGeek in the Clutch and 1771 Designs. We'll talk about those codes. We'll also have our little break where we will run our SeatGeek ad. So stay tuned for that. Without further ado, we do have a special guest, like I said. He's a friend of mine, a former coworker of mine, current Mississippi State beat reporter for the Commercial Dispatch based out of Columbus, Mississippi, and also Cubs fan, which is why this is relevant to the podcast. Benjamin Rosenberg. Ben, how are we doing? Welcome to the pod.
Good. Yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for having me on here, and excited to talk to you about this series. And yeah, it's doing well.
So I know, as you being someone who's covered, I do want to start out. It makes like talking about the Rays is going to be so sad and depressing that let's not start off with that. Since we have you on, and since you're someone who covered a team that was just in the NCAA tournament, got knocked out by a team who has now made it to Omaha, talk to me about your thoughts and feelings about the ACC SEC challenge that we're going to have going on at Charles Schwab Field coming up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of teams with big fan bases and good support who are going to be there in Omaha. This is my first year, like really following college baseball this closely like that, having covered Mississippi State. But yeah, I mean, Virginia definitely outplayed them in the 2 games that they faced off against each other. They were close games, or at least the second one was close until the ninth inning when Virginia broke it open. But yeah, I don't know if it's the best thing for the sport. You'd like certainly to see more conferences represented, but you've got teams like Virginia and Florida State and UNC from the ACC who have been there before, NC State as well, and then the top 3 seeds all being there: Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas A&M, all great teams. Florida is definitely the surprise, but they were still a preseason top 5 team. So, and they were in the championship series last year, so it'll be exciting. You're muted.
I muted.
How the hell did I mute myself? Evan is actually here now. Evan, how are we doing? I know it's been a bit.
What's up, guys? I don't know if we're talking about the Rays, but the Rays are horrendous right now.
Yes. We'll get into that in the future.
Thank-
We're trying to start off with like a good vibe and then go into the bad vibes.
The Stanley Cup Finals is great. There are good vibes there. Maybe not for Gibby, but just in general for good hockey, it's fun to
Yeah,
watch.
it's
It's a
good.
lot
It's
of fun
good
to
hockey
watch.
for sure.
But I know Gibby doesn't want the Panthers to win, I'm assuming. So
Yeah,
The
it's true.
the condescending tone in what you just said, yeah, sure, was really apparent.
Florida beating Canada in hockey feels kind of wrong.
Yeah, that's also the thing. But I'm also from Florida, so I can't have that
hey,
opinion.
the Lightning did that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
the Lightning beat the
exactly.
Canadians, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, do we even consider Montreal to be a real place? Is the question.
Yeah,
Especially
it's the last
considering
summer. It's
the
quite real.
Canadians were like the worst team ever to make the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, I mean, also, I was gonna say
And the Rays too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say the ongoing beef that exists between Quebec and the Rays.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
so I already talked a little bit about the College World Series with Ben. I wanted to get, are you guys planning on watching what's gonna happen in Omaha? I know none
Oh
of us
yeah.
have a dog in the fight, but
I have NC State. I mean, I don't
oh,
have
that's
any
true.
like
That's true.
I obviously I didn't go there. None of my family went there, but I'm from Raleigh, so I mean I have that personal connection of the hometown aspect. So I'll be cheering for those boys, and then I'll be cheering for UVA too, just because my mom went there. But yeah, I'm really excited to watch it. The super regionals were awesome,
Very entertaining. Except I feel really bad for Oregon.
and Clemson too.
Oh
I
my,
feel
yeah, Clemson was bad, but
Clemson.
Oregon was like, that was a collapse that I did not expect to happen, and it was
Oh,
really
that was
bad.
against A&M, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my
that was
God, it
bad.
was
That was
so
bad.
bad.
I mean, you don't want to get that crowd going. You don't want to get that crowd in College Station fired up.
No,
No.
And
I've never seen a collapse like that. Like
And
that was so painful to watch because I'm like,
Yeah.
you only needed one out to get out of that inning, and it just kept spiraling downward and downward and downward and downward, and then it like hit rock bottom.
And the Oregon State guy too, just on the pass ball.
Oh, that was brutal
He
too.
just
Yeah.
did not hustle to the pitcher didn't hustle to cover the plate, and they lost by a run. And I felt really bad for that guy too.
Yeah, it was brutal.
I'll be watching just because there's two Florida teams I can actually stand, unlike
It's
some
not
other games.
UCF.
But I mean, I was watching UCF. I can stand UCF. I have respect for certain aspects of UCF, But when 1 week a year I hate them. It's like, but it's only really that week. But I do talk a lot of crap here on the podcast about them. I did say some unceremonious things last episode, Alex, about the UCF baseball team. So we'll just not delve into that anymore. But
Hey,
yeah,
it's okay.
I'll be watching. I'll be watching.
Hey, it's okay. USF is a new baseball coach. They got the guy at Indiana State who's apparently a
That's
good
true.
guy by all accounts. So that's a good vibe there.
Yeah, vibes. We're gonna have a three-headed serpent now of head
Yeah.
coaches.
And most importantly, like I said before, the University of Tampa continues to be the baseball juggernaut that the Rays wish they were. And I'm
Yeah,
not even kidding
so
about that. That's just absolutely the truth.
They could probably beat the Rays at this point.
I don't want to say that because I don't know if
Well,
that's possible. But
That
like Skylar Gonzalez went 16-0 this year, which I understand he got like stupid run support, but that's insane.
yeah. It's like how Tampa, they stole UT, and then we started doing horns up at USF. We're stealing from UT
And
all the
Tampa
time.
Bay is just stealing the entire identity of the University of Texas.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, honestly, they could probably claim that more than they like. I'm not even joking. UT was a wagon. They went 52-8 this year. They walloped basically every team that they played. They ran through the
Yeah.
College World Series and carry. They had a run differential in 60 games of nearly plus 400, which is insane. I think they won, their average margin of winning was like 5.6 runs per game, which is, I don't care on what level you're playing, that's absurd. Like,
Absolutely.
how is that humanly possible? I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's absolutely dumb. So credit to Joe, credit to everyone there. A shout out to all the boys at UT. Shout out to my cousin Tommy, who is now part of or close friend cousin, part of he, I believe, is a manager for UT. So shout out to him for being part of that. Hopefully we can get Joe back on. I would love to get him back on because he got his 1,000th win this year. He got his, I believe, his 6th national championship. So he's killing it right now. Obviously, UT's killing it. So credit to them for all of that. All right, do we want to talk about how shit the Rays have been over the last 4 games or no?
Should we just do
Should we just ignore it?
should we just do the Cubs? Just like focus on the Cubs series?
I mean,
Nah,
Is
I'm
there
no,
anything to
let's-
say? Is there anything to say?
like they were playing the O's. The O's were just better than them. Gunnar Henderson is a god, apparently. He also apparently talks like Jar Jar Binks, which I
I
found
mean,
out.
there is quite a few things to say, but you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
swept,
No, they got mopped because of the
Mopped?
4-game sweep.
floor mops.
getting mopped at home to a divisional opponent is
First time since 2016.
I don't care who you're playing. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you're playing. Getting mopped at home is, I'd have to say that's unacceptable. I mean, like, and the way that we lost every game. I mean, I don't know. Starting on Friday, I don't know what the hell Cash was doing. I believe we were down 1 run, and he let Davinsky go 2 innings, which should never happen. I don't know what Davinsky should never be in a run game anyways, but he blows that game wide open. And I mean, I think the offense had like 7 total runs or something insanely low this series. I have to double check that.
Well,
But
2 of them came off the bat of someone who I didn't think would get a hit for the rest of the year.
I can't believe
The pigs flew in St. Petersburg, Florida tonight because Alex Jackson hit a home run
against Corbin Burns.
against Corbin Burns, who should,
Like,
I don't care if he shoved the rest of the game, he should retire for giving up a home run to a guy who's hitting like 120 in his career.
he should be forced to retire after
That
that.
is like, that is abysmal. You should, if you, I mean, that's just bad. Like, I
Yeah,
can't believe he hit a home run, but like also, Corbin, what are we doing, buddy?
yeah. Meatball Corbin, they call him.
No, I don't know. The Kitties just scored again, so it looks like they're going up 2-0. I mean, they were already going up 2-0, but now they're going up 2-0 for real.
They are so good.
This is so I think they matched. I think they had what? They got swept last year, or
Hate to see
this is the most wins that they've had in the Stanley Cup final, which I know no
Right.
one cares about on this podcast because none of you guys are probably Panthers fans. But this is like hockey's version of the Rays, where like every time they go to the championship series, they'll win 1 more game. So like the Rays won 1 time in 08, they won twice in 20. Now the next time it's going to be 3, and then hopefully it'll be 4. Hopefully that'll be the trajectory. Or it'll just be 4 the next time, because that'd be nice.
Please.
No, Florida's winning more than 2 games this series.
I
They're
mean,
winning
honestly,
it all.
they're playing like they should be. They
They
should
are-
be playing.
They are so good. They are. Talk about wagons. They are unbelievably good.
Man, I can't,
They are
man,
pretty
I'm sure you can't relate to that right now with the Cubs. And I know that we can't relate to that as Rays fans in terms of being a wagon. So, the pain is real. It's so undoubtedly real.
Yeah, no, there's not been a lot of joy in Wrigleyville of late.
That's an understatement. I mean, hey, they're still like, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the Cubs and the Rays right now are very similar to like each other in terms of, I feel like they should be better than what, I mean, honestly, with the Rays at this point, I don't know if they should be better than what they are, because I feel like this is a pretty accurate representation of how they're playing right now.
I think the Rays record is way better than what their talent is. They have won. I mean, their record in 1-run games is one of the best. I think maybe
Way too
the
good.
the best in all of the majors. So I mean, we've won a lot of games that we probably shouldn't have won. And yeah, our roster is not this good. Like, and this good doesn't even mean good. We're still 4 games under. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
like on the other hand, the Cubs should be I mean, what are they right now? 30 and 34?
They are 32 and 34 now after they salvaged the last game in Cincinnati over the weekend. I mean, you say they should be better than they are, and maybe they should, because there were some expectations for them at the beginning of the season for the first time in at least a few years. But honestly, like similar to what you guys are saying, I kind of feel like, this is who they are right now. They didn't do a whole lot in the off season. I mean, they had adding Shota Minaga is looking like a real good signing right now. He's pitched really well. trading for Michael Bush. He's been an impact bat, was real hot early on in the season, but the bullpen was a real rough spot early on. The offense was kind of a no-show in May, and then the starting pitching, which had been really good for the first couple months, sort of took a dip in the last couple weeks here as we moved into June. So the good news is, the wild card race, it's a little too early to be thinking about that stuff, but there's just a lot of mediocrity in the National League right now. Like everyone in the Central outside of the Brewers is very mediocre. You got the three teams in the West, the Giants, Padres, and D-backs are all just sort of, meh right now. And so if they can at least hang in there for a little while, but certainly like they were 8 games over 500 early on in the season, and they just have not played consistently at all. I think the only series they've won in the last month was those 2 games last week against the White Sox, and they barely won those. Those were both 1-run wins.
Why
So
does this sound so?
At least you won those games.
This sounds so similar to the Rays because like the
I
Rays
don't think we
almost
were
fucked
ever
up
8
against
games
Miami. Like
above
it
500.
is so. These two teams are so eerily similar right now.
True.
It's frightening. Like I felt like I was hearing someone describe to me the Rays, especially with the White Sox thing. Like the Rays should have taken care of business against Miami and should have had no issues and nearly fucked up against the Marlins.
yeah, the White Sox had led by 4 or 5 runs in both of those games, and thankfully for the Cubs, I guess the White Sox bullpen is historically dreadful, so they were able to come back. But yeah,
I thought they were good, apparently, or maybe they're just good against the Rays.
Yeah, even before that, the White Sox, they had those were losses numbers, I think 12 and 13 in a row. They ended up having a 14-game losing streak before they got a couple wins last weekend against Boston. But yeah, it's just it's been tough sledding for at least a month right now, especially the games they've played in the division. They won their first 2 series in the division, one against the Brewers and then against the Pirates, but then they've lost 5 out of 7 against the Reds. They lost 3 out of 4 in Milwaukee a couple weeks ago. They lost 2 games in St. Louis. So those are the teams you have to beat, and those are the teams that you're measuring yourselves against. And I feel for you guys just being in the AL East, the gauntlet you guys have to face every year. Like the NL Central is supposed to be a lot more forgiving than that. The Brewers are pretty good, but the Cubs can't even handle the teams that they're going to be measured against if they want to win the division and go to the playoffs. So
Yeah, the AL East sucks.
Yeah, we're now in last place, by the way, after this series
I
mop.
didn't think that Toronto leapfrogged us, and then they did.
Yeah.
I feel
That happens when you lose 4 straight.
I feel
Also,
so bad.
that was the Orioles' first ever 4-game sweep at the Trop, by the way.
Ever?
Yeah.
wow,
Great.
that kind of surprises me because even the Devil Rays days, but I guess the Orioles were pretty bad in those years too.
That's I don't know.
A 4-game sweep against anybody at home is tough. Like
Four-game sweep on the road is like
But
unheard
you
of.
didn't-
that doesn't
Like, you
happen
didn't get
often, I
mad or
feel like,
anything?
anyways.
Like, you didn't get mad or nothing?
Like
I don't know. It's just not good when you
It's-
get mopped.
I feel like
at home. I think
There's
getting
nothing
mopped at
else
home
to
is
say about that.
unacceptable.
Is it so like like truly, is it anger or is it just like sad? Because I just feel like I have hope for this team, but every time I'm trying to think of like the thing where it's like every time I want to back out, they pull me back in. That's how I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Right after the Marlins game, the Marlins aren't a good team, but you expect, you get something together on the offensive side in the Marlins series, and just nothing came of it in the Orioles series. So, yeah.
Maybe the Orioles are just that good.
Yeah, you scored
But yeah,
what they scored 10 runs against the Marlins, I think, on Tuesday. Or sorry, 9 runs.
Yeah.
And then 5 runs the next day, which for this team is unheard of. 14 runs in 2 games is unbelievable for this team. But then you follow it up with 7 runs in the next 4 games, and then it's like, all right, this is more like it. And I get that the Orioles are a good team, but their starting rotation is not their strong suit. Like they don't have the world's best. They don't have a starting rotation that should limit you to 7 runs in 4 games, is what I'm saying.
What's his face? Grace Rodriguez had a perfecto going through 5+ innings, right?
This team is going to get no hit at some point this season. If this lineup
It's come
stays
close
like
several times. I
Yeah.
mean,
it's gonna happen. This lineup is the definition of pathetic. I mean, I don't think that there can be a more pathetic lineup in the majors than this.
I think we might be saying hold my beer.
No, I guarantee you
Man,
the
misery
Cubs
loves
lineup
company,
cannot
doesn't
be
it?
worse. The Cubs
Hopefully it
lineup
looks
is
like they were
not.
right
Hold
now.
on, I'll check out the Cubs lineup.
Should
But
we do like a because like the White Sox or like whoever decided to do that like Martin Maldonado for All-Star game, should we do that for Alex Jackson, see what happens? Because like I feel like at a certain point
that
they're
would
just
be
gonna give up
hilarious.
hope. So whenever that hope is given up, if it's early, like if it's before the All-Star game and it's still during All-Star voting, we should just hammer that and see what happens.
Dude, that'd be crazy. Watch, no, I can't say that.
What?
That's so unbelievable that when it happened. Alex Jackson like hitting streak or something would be crazy. Like 2 days, just 2 days would be crazy.
If he gets a hit in 2 straight games, that would be the craziest thing ever.
That would be pretty
Him
insane.
hitting a home run today, I thought like God himself was going to come down from heaven and be like, "Oh my God, Alex Jackson hit a home run! I didn't even plan for that."
like I saw today that like I don't remember who tweeted it, but somebody tweeted the video of it, and they tweeted the odds that for Alex Jackson to hit a home run. It was like plus 950. I was like, that should be like that should be like plus 8,000. Are you kidding me? Alex Jackson to get a hit should be plus 950, let alone get a home run. He's had like 4 hits all season.
Hey,
He's
he's
batting
got like a 25% home run percentage now. Think of it
he's
that way.
he's batting .53 or .053.
Hell yeah, let's
Dude,
get
what
it.
are we? It's like, what are we talking about? This guy, like, you should get the sports book if you ever bet on Alex Jackson to hit a home run, and he
You
does.
should just get the
Like,
entire thing.
you should. That's how
Like if you go to the Hard Rock, they'll just be like, all right,
like
here's the keys.
the
Here
fact
you go, guys.
that
Congrats on the win.
like you should. I mean, he is the worst hitter by far in the MLB, and I have
I
no
don't know.
idea.
Martin Maldonado's got that. That's a hold my beer look right there.
There's
Is this guy a catcher at least? Is he? Is
Yeah,
Alex,
Oh, he's a catcher.
yeah, but he's not good
Okay,
at the
so that's
catcher
like
part.
you're gonna love this guy, Benjamin. You're gonna love. I mean, he's gonna be your favorite player because he's an automatic out. Like
I mean, like the Cubs have been dreadful in terms of providing offense at the catcher position. They just sort of ran it back with Yan Gomes and Miguel Amaya. I like Miguel Amaya a little bit
I'd
better. He
rather
was a
have both of those guys.
prospect. He was a
I would.
top prospect, but then like he sort of came up about 3 years in one pandemic later than I thought he would last year. And then he's gotten a little bit better. Gomes is a nice veteran presence to have around, but he's kind of washed in terms of at the plate. He got a double on I think it was Saturday's game in Cincinnati, which snapped an 0 for 20 something. So they just sort of, they ran it back with the guys they had last year, and both of them, I think, Yan Gomes has an OPS plus right now of 22, and Miguel
That is
Amaya
better than Alex Jackson. I will take
57.
him.
So
Jan Gomes sounds so awesome right now. I would give so much to
I would
have
give so
Jan
much
Gomes
for a
on my
22
team.
OPS plus. You don't even know.
Why?
he's 36. He's going to be 37 in about a month.
I'd still rather have that over the guy. And Rortvet is fine, but he can't hit a home run right now, which sucks. And you can't trot him out every day. And I guess they've just given up on Pinto's defense to just not allow him to come up because I guess his defense is so much worse. But I feel like there's no way that his defense is worse than everything that Ajax has got going on.
I also do not understand for the life of me how nobody in the front office was like before the season, because they were all like, "Oh, we're sold on Pinto. He can be the starting catcher, number one, like opening day." Yet nobody knew that he couldn't play defense. I don't understand how that's possible. The fact that they were
he played a good portion of last year too, so they saw that.
how were they so confident, be like, this is the guy, we're moving forward with him? Yet everybody was like, hey, we should probably look at the starting catching position because our catching depth is pathetic. And they were like, oh, well, it took a month into the
Dominic
season to be like,
Keegan's
oh,
gonna be our
actually, he can't play
savior.
defense. I don't understand.
That did happen. You're right.
I don't
I
understand how
forgot about
it's
yeah,
possible.
they were really hyped about Pinto.
They were we were very and I'd still rather have his bad defense over everything Ajax is going on.
I'd rather have the pitcher bat than Ajax. Like I would like I guarantee you that pitching that like a pitcher would be a better batter than Alex Jackson right now. He's batting he thanks to the home run, he's batting .061. I mean, you cannot get much worse than that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He has
See, so you can tell by how we're talking right now that like none of us are enjoying watching the like.
he has
I
three
mean,
hits all year.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
the Marlins series was like, thank God that we won that, and now that's like, can we just have teams that play at the Marlins? But then again, this is the same Rays team that literally lost to the like got swept by the White Sox. So I guess that they're playing better enough to beat the bad teams, but I just like we're dumbfounded right now. We don't like I guess I mean, since we've been doing this podcast, we haven't experienced a Rays team that has underperformed like this. And I think that we want them to like I mean, do we know that they're better at this point? Because like that's the other thing is that I'm sure a lot of us are like, oh, this, it's the Rays. They're gonna find a way to turn things around. And this is the first time I think that like we've legitimately been skeptical about what the team looks like, at least since we've been doing this. Because we've experienced the World Series, we've
Yeah,
experienced
we've had like 5 straight playoff.
yeah, I mean, 20 through 23, we saw, 2 division titles, we saw a World Series, and we saw 4 straight playoff appearances, and now we got this.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the thing that frustrates me the most is the things that are like obviously Yandy and Randy struggling. I don't think anybody really could have predicted that. Maybe Randy.
No.
Randy wasn't great at the second half of last year, but Yandy struggling this year, couldn't really predict that. But I think the main things that hurt this team are things that were super predictable in the offseason, and the front office just decided not to do anything about it, like the catcher position, like the starting pitching hasn't been great throughout the whole season. I think people realize that. I get that we're injured. I get that we'll get people back. I mean, at this point, just let him sit the whole year. Just get him healthy for next year at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the lineup, I think was pretty predictably bad in the offseason. We didn't really do anything to help that. We made a couple trades, but I mean, Isak has been better than I think people thought. But I think that's what makes me frustrated is that these weren't things that took a genius to find out that were wrong with this team. They were pretty easy to find out, and that's exactly what's wrong. So,
yeah. No, I agree. There's definitely a lot of preventable issues that have happened with this team that hopefully they'll get solved at some point. I do want to, we'll continue talking about this. I want to get more of, Ben's takes about what he thinks is going to happen in this mid-off going on next week or coming up between the Rays and Cubs. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll run our SeatGeek ad. Again, if you guys haven't used our code before, it's code Raise the Roof in all caps at checkout. It'll save you $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more using the SeatGeek app. Make sure to take advantage of that. So we'll run that, and we'll be right back in this latest episode of Raise the Roof.
Hi everyone, Alex here with a quick word from our sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is your one-stop shop for tickets for everything from live theater and concerts to sporting events like Rays games. SeatGeek uses a color-coded scale to show you where the best deals are, with green being good and red being bad. If you haven't used SeatGeek before, we have a special deal just for you. Use code RAISE-THE-ROOF, that's RAISE spelled R-A-Y-S, at checkout for $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek. Again, that's code RAISE-THE-ROOF for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Thanks so much to SeatGeek for sponsoring us, and let's get back to this latest episode of Raise the Roof.
And we're back on this latest episode of Raise the Roof. So, do we have any other things to talk about with this last week? I know we already mentioned the good times in Miami and then the bad times for the last 4 days.
no, we just suck.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say
it.
we've pretty much nailed or hit the nail in the coffin there.
Boom. Yeah. Hey,
Uh,
not everyone sucked though. But yeah.
A little too early,
For the most
early
part.
for you guys to be digging any graves now. It is still the 10th of June.
That's true.
No, this team's dead.
Yeah, yeah.
This team's dead. I've seen enough.
No,
I've seen enough.
Whoa.
You made the coffin
But
count.
Well, I know. I just
Dead
meant
in the
nail
water
coffin
right
for the
now.
series. I didn't meant for the season.
Okay,
I'm not that pessimistic yet. I mean,
But
I
I'd
might
like
get
to
there in a
see
little bit.
this little rat battle we got going on, between 2 teams crawling out of the crevices of their overwhelming divisions. I mean, kind of Central less to a lesser degree because it's just the Brewers on top, kind of dominating all. And then for us, we have two juggernauts on top of us, Yankees and Orioles. So it's a little bit different, but it's still nonetheless a battle of mid and, two teams that are desperate to claw their way back into any playoff contention. And Cubs are probably closer just with the National League being kind of up for grabs right now with
Yeah, I
only
think
kind
there
of
are
the main four.
Yeah, I think there are 4 teams in the National League that currently have a winning record. I think it's just the Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies, and the Brewers.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
yeah, so right now you'd have like 2 wild card teams who are at or below 500. Um, so
The Cubs are tied for the third wild card spot
right, yeah, and they're 2 games below 500.
with
Like,
That's
three other
crazy.
teams though.
yeah,
There are
like they
three
were.
other.
Yeah, and then in the AL you have the fucking you have the Kansas City Royals deciding to be the greatest team ever. Apparently,
They might be my playoff team though. They're
the
kind of they're
Royals are
fun.
really good. The
They're a
Royals,
fun team. They're a really
they're
fun team.
they are very very good. I was gonna say, are the Twins in a playoff spot right now?
Yeah, they're the third spot.
Okay. Also, speaking of that, before
We're
we
4 games out, by the way, of the third spot. So
oh yippee, how are we feeling about the Twin City Connects?
not
The
bad. I like them. I
Uh,
like them.
the hats are the only good part.
I was
I
gonna
thought
say
they were mid. I thought the uniform was mid, but the hat's cool. Yeah.
the hat's sick. I like the Prince tribute with the lake.
Let's
A big
see.
fan of that. I think they could have done a lot more with it. I feel like teams are going a lot
The-
like one guy said teams are going really monochrome, and I do agree
Yeah,
with that.
like
That
the
a lot of
Cardinals.
teams are going monochrome now.
It's like I feel like every color, every team, all of them are only one color the whole way. It's like, aren't the Orioles all black? I'm pretty sure.
No,
Um,
the Orioles have the white pants now, but like this year,
Oh, they
all
have white
the teams-
pants. Gotcha.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure all the teams that have released City Connects this year have all been monochrome. Like the Rays are all gray, the Phillies are all blue, the Twins are all blue, the Blue Jays are all black. Who else am I missing? Cleveland. Oh no, Cleveland's got different ones because Cleveland's got the different colored pants. But like other than that, they're all monochrome.
I think the Cardinals, I mean, yeah, they've got white pants, I'm pretty sure, because red pants would just be that would really not be a good look.
I forgot that the Cardinals released a City Connect jersey.
Theirs was very safe. I do like the patch that they've got on the sleeve with the fleur-de-lis and the STL. I don't love that they say the Lou on the front, but
Me neither. I agree with that.
It's
Isn't that another name for like a toilet?
It is.
Like-
Yes. It's the British word for a toilet.
Yeah.
Wait, the
Yeah.
Orioles had black pants though, right?
They did, and then they got rid of them.
Okay.
Didn't like
I
it.
was gonna say I feel like I'm driving myself crazy. I was like, I swear.
No,
had the
no,
black
they
pants,
used
but-
to. No longer because I
Gotcha.
know I've seen. I saw them a couple weeks ago, and they did not wear black pants. I know that for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
Yeah, now I can actually use real life experiences at games. That's nice. All right, yeah. So let's get into this mid off that's going to happen at the Trop. So Ben, I want to. You've already given your thoughts about, or I guess talked about the Cubs a little bit. What are your thoughts going into the series, just knowing where both teams are?
I mean, I think they've got to prove it. They've got to prove it against somebody other than the White Sox. I mean, going back
We got
to
swept by the White
May.
Sox, by the way. So
I mean, the Cubs only managed to split 4 at home against the Marlins, and that was back in April when they were playing well. So, yeah, they've got to prove it. Since their last series win against someone else was, I believe, at Pittsburgh about a month ago, and it's just when everything is not going to just hasn't been going right at once. The starting pitching was keeping them in games. You had Imanaga, who's been a real revelation after they signed him from Japan. Javier Assad has been surprisingly strong. Ben Brown, who's a rookie, was one of their prospects. And that's like even with a lot of the rotation stuff that hasn't gone according to plan because Justin Steele got injured on his start on opening night, and Jordan Wicks has spent time on the IL, and Kyle Hendricks was just, it doesn't seem like he has anything left, which, is kind of sad. He's the last remaining member of their 2016 World Series team. And I always really liked him just because, he went to an Ivy League school and he's always been able to succeed with a sinker and a changeup. He's I think 90 is probably the hardest pitch he's ever thrown in the major leagues. But they demoted him to the bullpen, which is, now he's just not pitching in those high leverage situations anymore. The bullpen early on just had its share of blowups, and then for a lot of the month of May, it seemed like offensively everybody was just cold at the same time. You look at the numbers overall now, I mean, like the plus stats, the ones that compare you to league average, they don't look so bad, but the depth is just extremely thin. And you look at the raw numbers, the counting stats, and the rate stats. I mean, like Cody Bellinger has been pretty solid. Mike Tauchman has still somehow been really good because he really gets on base. But then Seiya Suzuki's been up and down because he's been hurt. Dansby Swanson hasn't had a great year. Nico Horner's out right now because he got hit on the hand a couple days ago. Christopher Morel has got crazy power and he's cut down on the strikeouts, but he's had some bad BABIP luck. Ian Happ's been very up and down. I mean, it's just not a lineup that's going to strike fear into a lot of pitching staffs right now.
They got some dudes on that lineup though. Like, I mean, I mean, like, I feel like are they just going through slumps right now, or like, because Morel's, I mean, I don't know, I haven't checked out what he's hitting right now, but he's a stud, isn't he?
I mean, he leads the team in home runs, but he provides great energy, but also like defensively too. He didn't really have a position when he first came up. He was playing a lot of center field, but now with Bellinger and also they've got Pete Crow Armstrong back up on the big league roster. He hasn't really hit very well, but he's great out there defensively. So now they've tried to make Christopher Morel the full-time third baseman, and I know according to a lot of the more advanced defensive metrics, he's been one of the worst fielders in all of MLB. And sort of just like the eye test kind of backs that up. I know in the White Sox series, he misplayed a ball, a little bouncer down the line, and in the next game he cut off a throw to the plate that he probably should have let go through because they had a chance to get the out. And so, I mean, he's got a real strong arm and he's got good speed, but I don't know if third base is the right fit for him. But like you've also got kind of a logjam in the outfield because Seiya Suzuki, who's supposed to be the starting right fielder, also hasn't been great defensively. So I mean, and you only have one DH spot, obviously. So I mean, if you put Bellinger or PCA in center field, and then like Mike Tauchman in right, and then you got to probably Suzuki's been in the DH spot a little bit more often lately, but I mean they've got some up. I mean, they put Nick Madrigal. They opted him to the minors because I mean like he honestly didn't really have one thing where he stood out at. I mean, not striking out is as a skill that can only get you so far. And Patrick Wisdom is kind of similar to Morel because he's got good raw power, but he's mostly in there to hit lefties, and he hasn't even been doing that lately. So as a whole, they've really struggled against left-handed.
I was gonna say, did Wisman, is he injured? Or did he get injured?
He's still on the team. He hit leadoff for some reason on Saturday because the Reds were starting a lefty and he went like 0 for 5.
Gotcha. Because he's only played 30 games. I was wondering if it's just because he's struggling or if he was injured or something, but because
he normally only starts against lefties. I think that's typically why.
Gotcha.
Oh, he's got the Davis Schneider thing because I know that Davis does that.
Yeah, I mean it's not uncommon for teams to do platoons and stuff. But
I was gonna say Bilal kind of does that too, but I mean though the Rays will use him way more regularly.
Unfortunately.
Hey, he hit a home run against the Marlins. Shush. Let me be happy for a little bit, okay? Hey, Matt Shaw's gonna come up for the Cubs, and Maryland's gonna be back on top of the baseball world. You watch.
No, I would take that.
Yeah, I don't know how far away Shaw is. Probably, I would guess next year is probably when he'll be here.
He was in the 2022 draft, right?
No. He was in the 23 draft.
Oh, 23? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was like 14th overall, 15th overall, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, he's a stud. Absolute stud.
But again, like where does he fit in defensively? I mean, probably
that's a good point, to be honest.
Yeah, because like your middle infield, I mean, I know Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson haven't been, quite lived up to the expectations this year, but they're kind of entrenched at shortstop and second base.
Imagine them trading Swanson. No, well, we got a guy in the future in the minor leagues. Just get rid of Swanson, offload his contract.
I don't know if anyone wants to take on that contract because he's got like 5.5 years left on his deal still.
That's brutal.
I mean, what I see
started to hit a little bit better lately. I will say that.
What I see from the Cubs is just a bunch of guys who theoretically, like age-wise, should be in their prime, but just like all running into slumps. Very similar, to a lot of guys on our team, other than like Yandy Diaz, which should be turning off production, but
That-
he's also starting to like kind of come alive these last few series. He's kind of the only guy who gave us hits in the last like 2 games of that series. So
And Randy's
that
been much better in June from what I saw. I think he's
yeah,
got like 3-something in June.
but
yeah. So
but yeah, Gibby, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like if you look at the Cubs lineup on paper, they have dudes where you think that they'd be good together. I mean, it's not like they're like
yeah,
they
20.
have
If you
guys where
told me 4 years ago that the Cubs had 28-year-old Cody Bellinger, I'd think that was or not 4 years ago, probably like 5 years ago. But
I mean Ian Happ still
if you told me he was going to be on the Cubs, I'd say, I mean, probably a pretty good lineup, along with like, let's see, like Suzuki, yeah, Ian Happ, like all these guys, Dansby Swanson.
Ian Happ's only 2 years removed from an All-Star appearance. I mean, Dansby Swanson was an integral part in winning a World Series
I
three
don't
years
know.
ago with
Maybe
the
it's just a
Braves. Like,
roster that sounds good, but on paper is not. It's just not trilling well. It just
Yeah,
sounds good in my brain when I hear it. I hear like familiar names. It's not like how my Rays fandom is, where it's like I have to like learn all these guys who just came out of the blue, honestly, into
that's
my
kind
life.
of how it's been with these guys. Like even the tail end of the world when the World Series core was still there. I mean, they had star power. They had Chris Bryant. They had Anthony Rizzo. They had Javier Baez. I mean, like obviously it worked, but like each star power, if you don't build around it, then it's easy to say, look, these stars aren't actually that good, and then get rid of them and hope the fan base doesn't, get too upset. Which obviously, the fan base noticed, and we were upset. But you don't build around them, and then you're going to want to leave and act like it's their fault all along. I mean, the other thing here is, it's really hard to quantify the value of a manager. And they just gave Craig Counsell the richest contract that's ever been given to a manager, and stealing him away from a division rival. Actually, it's kind of similar to how they got Joe Madden a while back from the Rays. I mean, they did David Ross dirty just like they did Rick Renteria dirty. But I mean, yeah, and he was a good manager, and obviously from the other dugout, the Cubs front office was like, oh well, his Brewers teams, they always exceed their expectations. They always are playing well down the stretch toward the end of the season. But I mean, obviously we got a long way to go, but I mean, I haven't really seen it yet. I know fans were pretty fed up with David Ross. I think he was a good guy to have around, but like in terms of leading them back to the playoffs, like he didn't really know how to manage a team in contention, which last year's team kind of found itself in contention unexpectedly. And then they collapsed down the stretch those last few weeks. So, I mean, we've yet to see the council move pay huge dividends. And I'm just not sure I entirely get the logic of paying that much money to a manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to watch to see how things go in this series for sure.
I mean, that's probably one thing the Rays don't have in common, other than like,
Having money.
like, I guess Kevin Cash has had a few mistakes this season, but he's been a great manager for us, like just down the stretch. I mean,
Oh, I thought you just
yeah,
meant like the Cubs have money, which is nice.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
money,
that's
but they
also
don't
something
always
they have,
they
and
have
we
money,
know.
but they don't always spend it. Like
This is
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
This is also true. I mean, like the Rays have
I
had.
mean, they have 100-year-old stadium. No, it's beautiful. It's the best ballpark in America. Love
yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, we got America's ballpark. I don't know what you're talking about.
it. I mean, yeah, 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 yeah. About tied, I'd
Yeah, I
say.
was gonna say in the actual rankings, it's definitely up there.
I mean,
Yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Madden had never been to Wrigley until his last year with the Rays, and then when they played there, and he was like, "Wait, this place is amazing." And then, a few months later, he's announced as the next Cubs manager.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, every stadium now is trying to just make their corporate version of Wrigley Field, but Wrigley Field is just
heck, even
so
even Dudy
authentic.
Noble Field at Mississippi State here, they've got a little rooftop. um, so
Oh, nice.
That's true.
That
That is
sounds
that
cool.
is honestly that is very, very accurate. That is
Nothing
very,
but
very
rooftop.
accurate. I was gonna say, like, I mean, we didn't even mention Harold getting DFA'd, which is a
Yeah,
massive
I
thing to
know.
mention.
That's
But like, that's another thing with with I guess having money and not having money, is guys like that. And I know Harold was making quite a bit of money on the books for the Rays, not like the general scheme of baseball, but for the Rays. And now he's gone. And the Rays need to find ways to. I mean, it's not like there was a lot of power to be replenished there because he didn't really hit any home runs this year. And feel like maybe whatever power happened last year, that was lightning in a bottle and he called it at the right time. But I mean, that thing sucks because now the Rays don't have a guy like that who's a consistently reliable enough bat to be able to use in the lineup. Defense is kind of here and there, but for the most part, I mean, he's someone who's a good vibes guy in the dugout. He's someone who's, he's a good person for the community to rally behind. He's that kind of guy. But he was a good player, and like now the Rays don't have him anymore. So
Yeah, I mean, it was sad to see him go, but I mean, I totally understand. I think he was hitting around 268 this year, which
yeah,
is not
but he
not
had an
enough.
OPS of like sub 700, which is leads the home run issue.
Right. And 268 is not nearly good enough to, if one, you don't play defense, or two, you don't play defense and you don't hit for power. So, I mean, I think he had probably 2 home runs this year, I'd say, if that, maybe.
Yeah, he might have not even hit a home run. I don't even know for sure.
I vaguely remember him hitting at least one, but like
Not enough, basically.
And I get like people who were saying that, like, oh, you're dropping him for Taylor Walls because Taylor Walls, yes, he has not had a good bat his whole career. I understand that, but he is an unbelievable defender, and you can't deny that. And that's something that Harold just doesn't do. He doesn't play defense basically at all, and when he does play defense, it's good at best. Like, I mean, I maybe wouldn't even say that it's good. So I mean, I think when he was hitting 300, when he was hitting 290, I think you could let that slide that he doesn't play defense. But since that's his average slugging, those numbers have been down this year. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, 268 for the Rays this year isn't terrible, but when you don't add anything else, it's not enough to stay on the team.
Yeah, what's crazy is that like 6 months, like last season, he was almost like a trade piece that we were talking about, or the beginning of this season even. He was a piece that we were talking about moving now because
it's not.
That now he's definitely not. So yeah, crazy how baseball shakeouts. I mean, it's crazy the kind of tears he went on last season. I don't
He hit
think
313 last year.
Yeah.
Just crazy. And he doesn't walk either, which is another knock. Like, I mean, he had a 268 average this year and a 284 OBP. So
I definitely think he'll
like,
find himself on another team. Has he been picked up yet by anyone? Or did
I
he
don't
get
believe so.
moved down to AAA?
Yes. So I guess if he clears, then he'll go back to Durham, which will be good for the Rays because then they can bring him up when they need him. But he
That'd
has
be
not
crazy.
been, to my knowledge, he has not been done yet. So
he hit 1 home run this year, by the way.
But it'd be nicer if he hit a couple more. We kind of already talked to. I mean, I feel like the keys to this series are pretty straightforward. Don't give up home runs because the Rays can't seem to not give up home runs. And then try to produce an offense, which is something that the Rays did not do at all in that Orioles series. Ben, for you, are there any keys that you have that the Cubs will need to execute in order to be able to win this week?
They need to hit with runners in scoring position. That's been the number one thing that they've really struggled with when the offense has been down, which it's been for a solid month at this point. Even Sunday's game, when they finally won, avoided the 4-game sweep against the Reds. They got a big hit from Ian Happ, who always seems to play well in Cincinnati, which is the town where he went to college. He had a 3-run double in the first. They got another run in the second. So they're up 4-0 at that point. But they had a ton of chances to put that game away and add on. And they ended up going, I think, 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position and left 12 guys on base. And that was an issue in some of the games they lost over the weekend as well. So yeah, just come up with those big timely hits and add on when they need to and be able to play from behind if that's what the game calls for. Looks like for the pitching matchups, tomorrow night or Tuesday night, it'll be Jameson Taillon for the Cubs against Zach Eflin for the Rays. Wednesday is Javier Assad for the Cubs, and Aaron Civale will be going for the Rays.
Oh God!
And then
talk about meatballs.
We'll see. Thursday night is Justin Steele against is that Taj Bradley?
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that the Rays aren't giving the Cubs a day game on that Thursday. No getaway day, especially given the Cubs come back home for a Friday afternoon game after that. So
no prisoners. We no holds barred, no mercy.
Day game here? Are you crazy?
And especially during, I guess, during a finals game or during the Stanley Cup Finals game too. They just want all the Lightning fans not to have to watch the finals, so they were like, "We'll put the Rays."
I mean, honestly,
in the night slot.
they might do it by the end of the week. Let's be honest here.
Just
Let's be honest with ourselves. Things could go down south really quickly. Before we conclude, we always pick a player. So Ben, you're not going to be picking Rays players, obviously. But we always pick a couple players to highlight in the series that we want to do. We want to see do well, or players that continue what they've been doing. So since you're our guest, we'll give you the honors. Who your pick of players this series for the Cubs?
Like a key player for the series who's gonna
Yeah. I mean, we'll do one position player, one pitcher. You can just pick one player overall. Like, it's all up to you.
I'm gonna go with Seiya Suzuki. I think he had 3 hits in the last game in Cincinnati. I think he's got to keep hitting. He's been in that 2 hole most of the time lately. If he can really if he can give them some slug, maybe a homer and a double here and there, then that just can help the Cubs lineup and just make the whole thing a lot more free flowing. If he's not hitting, then if your 2 hole hitter is going over 4 with 3 strikeouts, then that's just a big hole and a key spot in your lineup. So I think a lot of their run production is going to depend on him.
All right. Ev, who you got?
yeah, but you got it. You got it.
Oh,
All right.
he passed the baton.
Ooh.
I got.
So I'm gonna do Taylor Walls, because now that he's back, I need to see him do whatever the fuck he did in 2023 that led him to hit like 290 at one point at the beginning of the season.
Are you talking about the first month and a half of the
First
season?
month and a half,
Where
I've
he
never
turned
seen
on God
anything like.
mode?
He turned on God mode, dude. And it was like, whoa, what happened after a month and a half? It's crazy, but
That was an incredible
what an incredible
we'll,
run.
we'll tell our
And
kids about 2023 early season Taylor Walls at some
yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah,
early
just to
season
see that back.
Rays in
season,
general last year were
True.
They all fell off a cliff after a month and a half, honestly.
They did.
If you look at the numbers. But yeah, I'll pick Taylor Walls, and then oh my God, Savali, just fucking get through like 6 innings, please. Just get through. I don't even care how many runs. Just get through. That's all.
I like
Just
it.
save our fucking bullpen, Savali.
yeah, bullpen.
Please.
Actually, I'll go with the guy in the bullpen. I'll go with Maton. The dude has not been good at all. $6.5 million.
He was starting to come back, but now he's like
He was, and then he gives up the grand slam to was it
Yeah.
Adley yesterday?
yeah.
Which I mean, game was already over. We weren't scoring 5 runs.
By the way,
yesterday, but
Zach Campbell again.
oh yeah, that was him. I
Struck
forgot about
again.
that.
Fuck.
Yeah, I mean Maton, I don't think he's gonna if we're I don't know how often he'd, I guess, even be used in the series. I don't even think he'd be really used unless we would be winning by more than 2 or 3 runs, probably, or losing by 2. So, and I think this series is probably going to be close every game because, like we've kept on saying, this is a battle between 2 of the most mediocre teams in the league.
Mid.
I don't even know if the
Midway.
Rays-
I was gonna say, I hate that's like not a slight on either team. It's just a very accurate description of what's.
And the Rays might not even be mediocre at this point. They might just be bad. Like they might just be a bad team.
Same.
And for the offensive guy, I'll go with Jose Siri, I guess. He kind of seemed to be reverting back to his old ways. Unfortunately, this past week, after he had been really, really good against the Athletics with the 2 walk-offs.
He said, "Hey, I'm good."
And then he hit a home run, I guess, on Friday, which
Yeah, he did.
Which was a promising sign. And then he had a poor weekend and today. But I'll pick him to get going again. And for some reason, I'm going to pick a Cubs player too. Talkman always seemed to play well against the Rays, whether he was on the Yankees. Pretty sure he went small sample size, but he went 3-7 against us last year. I think I saw he's going to have a good series against us. I just have a weird feeling.
Let's hope not.
He takes his walks. I'll give him that. He cue the Billy Bean meme. He gets on base.
Man, it'd be nice. You guys from the Rays got on base.
Okay, I won't say that.
Yeah.
I said it. I was about to say you can walk the Talkman.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
Hey.
We're gonna go with Bilal again. The reoccurring joke is back, and honestly, it kind of worked against the Marlins. So it'd be nice if it worked again and more consistently this time instead of 2 games, more larger sample size. And then let's go with who do I want to go with on the pitching side of things? Let's go with Taj because I know that he had that really, really bad outing. Not this most recent outing, but the one before. I think it was the one before that against the Orioles. Or if
Can he
not,
just do what he did in his first outing? Like that
yeah,
shit was
yeah. I was gonna
incredible.
say just if he can, get some consistent. I know he's still working through stuff, but just getting some consistency and get that confidence back up is all we need from him. And I think that's the biggest thing.
He confuses the hell out of me. He'll be going.
He should be so much better than how he's pitching right now. Is my
He's so much better than his numbers because he'll go 4 innings easily, and then all of a sudden he gives up 4 runs in like 2 seconds, and in the next inning it's like what the hell? Just I swear he tips pitches. He seems like a guy who tips pitches because first time through the lineup he's unbelievable, and then the second time he like falls apart for some reason. I don't know. I don't understand
I
why,
hope
but
that's not the case, but I don't
it's
know. We'll see
crazy.
what happens.
Because it's the total opposite. He looks phenomenal, and then he looks horrendous. Like it's not like a little bit of a drop off. It's a ginormous drop off. But I think that's a good pick, though. Hopefully,
Yeah. Hopefully. Well, I think with that being said, it's going to conclude things. Ben, thank you so much for coming on. As we do with all of our guests, we always give them the floor to be able to promote their socials, anything they got going on. So where can people find you at and what you got going on?
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if any of your listeners really care about Mississippi State sports, but that's my main job, is covering the Bulldogs. You can find me on Twitter or whatever it's called now, at BX Rosenberg. In terms of, yeah, I mean, my expertise on the Cubs is really just from being a longtime fan, but it should be hopefully a fun series with both teams just being solidly mediocre here.
Yeah. Well, again, Ben, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. For everyone listening, thank you guys as always for listening to the pod, for supporting us, whatever we got going on. We really appreciate it. If you guys don't follow us on social media, it's Raise the Roof TB on both Instagram and Twitter/X. We are also trying to get more content up on our YouTube, so stay tuned for that. We'll hopefully get some more videos, anything like that going up on there more consistently throughout the season, so stay tuned. As we said at the top, make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, share this with your friends, family, anyone who's a Rays fan or a baseball fan that wants to add a podcast to their podcast feed. And with our sponsors, I know that we shouted them out. We didn't shout out the links other than the SeatGeek link. So if you guys want to support our sponsors, I already mentioned SeatGeek. In the Clutch has the same link, Raise the Roof. It is 10% off any order anytime for In the Clutch, and then for 1771 Designs, same, Raise the Roof, but only the R, the T, and the R are capitalized. Everything else is lowercase. Use that for 15% off any purchase anytime with them. Make sure to. We always appreciate when you guys use our links. You guys get great deals, and it helps us out in the process. So, with that being said, thanks so much for listening, and as always, raise up.
Raise up, baby.
raise up.